Top 3 Old West Outlaws. Life in the Old West was not easy. Many people died of starvation back then, which was one of the reasons why there were a lot of outlaws in the Old West. Some of them simply want to take advantage of the lawlessness to make themselves richer. At the end of this video, you will discover why someone like Jesse James, who served in the Civil War, turned out to be one of the outlaws in the Old West and was the most. Billy the Kid. In 1876, he worked as a ranch hand, and here, he did his first crime when he killed a group of Apache Indians. Soon after, he killed a blacksmith in Camp Grant, Arizona. He left his first job as a ranch hand and worked for John Tunstall, an English-born rancher who operates in Lincoln, New Mexico as a bodyguard and a rancher. Sadly, in 1878, members of a rival cattle gang killed Tunstall. Because of his anger at Tunstall's murder, he became a vigilante leader posse sent to arrest Tunstall's murderers. But it did not happen. Billy placed justice in his hands and shot 2 of Tunstall's murderers. They ended up dead. This was followed by an all-out war. Lincoln Sheriff Bill Brady sanctioned Tunstall's murder case, and this caused Billy's gang to kill the sheriff. A rival gang surrounded the house where Billy and the gang were staying in 1878. The U.S. Army squadron was called in. The operation went on for 5 days. However, they were not able to make Billy and his gang surrender. Billy and some other regulators managed to make their way out of town. Finally, Billy was arrested 2 years after by Lincoln Sheriff Pat Garrett. Billy was found guilty of murdering Sheriff Brady and sentenced to death. Billy the Kid will not allow this to happen. 2 weeks before his execution, Billy tugged a gun from one of the jailers and shot 2 of the deputies dead. This is a very critical escape and caught everyone's attention. Garrett did not lose hope of finding Billy. In 1881, he tracked him down on a ranch near Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Garrett had access to the house where he visits his girlfriend. Before Billy could point a gun at Garrett, Garrett shot him right into his chest. At the young age of 21, Billy the Kid was killed. Robert Leroy Parker. Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy grew up as a cowboy in Colorado. He went away from his home. He found himself working on different ranches. He met a cattle thief named Mike Cassidy that influenced him into a life of crime. Butch Cassidy was the leader of the Wild Bunch Gang. He is famous for robbing banks and trains in America. In 1889, Butch robbed a bank in Telluride, Colorado. Soon, they fled to an isolated area in Utah that served as their hideout. A year after, he bought a ranch in Wyoming to cover his illegal activities. After many trains and bank robbers, Butch and his gang were the apples of the eye of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. Soon, some of the gang members were shot and killed. Butch tried to escape the law. He flew to South America, but the local authorities surrounded the house in an attempt to capture Butch Cassidy in Longabaugh. Without any choice, a shootout happened that left Butch and Longabaugh dead. Number 3. Jesse James. Jesse was educated and hailed from a prestigious family of farmers. Sadly, the James farm was brutally attacked by Union soldiers in 1863. At the young age of 16, Jesse and his brother became Confederate guerrilla soldiers together with William Quantrill and Bloody Bill Anderson. Speculations about brutal treatment received as Union soldiers led them to revenge and rob stagecoaches, banks, and trains owned by the Northern Institution. Some historians speculated that they were robbing the rich and giving the money to the poor. However, there was no evidence for this speculation. For any reason, Jesse James and his gang were the most feared outlaws for 22 years in American history. In total, they robbed more than 20 banks and trains and stole around $200,000. They also murder anyone that comes their way. On the morning of April 3, 1882, Jesse stood up to fix a picture on the wall at his home, and Bob Ford, then a new recruit, shot him in his head, that causing his death right away. A year before this happened, Bob Ford arranged with Missouri's governor to take down Jesse in exchange for a reward. Through this was an arrangement. Bob was sentenced to death, but was pardoned by the governor to honor their agreement. Bob Ford was shot to death in Colorado's saloon. You have just discovered about the top 3 Old West Outlaws. Click on the next video to learn about the amazing facts you need to know about the Old West.